Yeah, I know. I always try to cosplay for my reviews. It was past time I did it for the 9 Realms. Of course, there was only one character worthy enough of me dressing like them, and that is the Queen herself. Although USBs do not make good hair ties, I don't know who thought that the practicality of that would be believable. That's gonna be a theme in this review, just wait. We're back with another video on the new season of the 9 Realms. Literally 3 months after season 2 debuted. I have no idea what the schedule is like for the release of these seasons, but I've personally never seen a show be released as sporadically as this one. These videos always do better than my normal ones, so if you're new here, please consider checking out my other content and subscribing. It takes a lot to make these longer reviews, so any and all support is highly encouraged. The new season was interesting, to say the very least. Of course, I'll get into how it compares to the first two, and I actually have a few surprises up my sleeve this time around, so you're definitely gonna want to stick around for the whole video. Your girl is moving up the Dragons fandom corporate ladder. One dog shit installment of this series at a time. As always, I want to make it extremely clear, do not go after or harass any of the people involved in the production of this show. They're just doing their jobs, they aren't hurting anybody. I'm just a fan who's very passionate about this franchise, so I feel inclined to talk about it in a very passionate way. Everything I say is my opinion, and if you disagree, I completely respect that. This video is going to be formatted like my previous two. If you haven't seen the new episodes, don't worry, I'm going to be going into everything that happens. I hope you're ready, hooligans, because this new season is, an experience. I was originally going to go into a few corrections to be made from the last video in a similar fashion to my season 2 review, but there were only a few smaller things in comparison to last time that I didn't think it was worth making its own chapter. I said that the music in the brony fleshlight scene was just bizarre and off-putting for the show, but a lot of people pointed out that it may have been inspired by the Gremlins music. And if that's the case, then I take back my criticism of it being off-putting, because little pop culture references like that are something that I'd actually praise the show for. And at least the brony fleshlights did not make a reappearance in season 3, good on you there. Aside from that, the rating of the show is something that I'd like to not necessarily correct, but clear up, because I stated in my last review that the rating of the show was TVG, but turns out it's rated TVG on Hulu, but Y7FV on Peacock, which was the same as Race to the Edge's rating. But despite this, my point still stands. It's the same rating as Race to the Edge, with none of the fantasy violence that makes the show interesting. Also, someone pointed out that I forgot to include the scene of Astrid getting shot in the leg in my Race to the Edge death and violence montage, and I was so mad that I forgot it. I somehow missed the wumpiest Astrid moment in the entire franchise, so I'll include it here. Yeah, there you go. And as for the things I liked about this season, Alex is one of the bestest, sassiest, and most relatable characters in the franchise. If this show gave her twice the runtime, it would be infinitely better, but that's me being optimistic. They'd probably find some way to screw her over. There's far too many iconic Alex moments for me to verbally point them out each time this season, so instead I'll just be crowning the queen when appropriate. The Magma breather also makes a return, and any episode including the chunkiest boy gets points from me. While James Charles makes a return and is insufferable for most of the season, his character actually undergoes some development later on that I found to be a step in the right direction. Well, not exactly a step, more like a nudge. Or, you know, the wind shifting you kind of off balance in your seat. There were quite a number of laugh-worthy moments in this season, but a majority of them were unintentional, and joining me in a discussion following our screenings of the season independently were RaisorBlade and KingLavaCactus, both YouTubers who also review the show, go check them out. And laughing at this mess of a show in a group was a much more fulfilling experience than forcing myself to watch it on my own, which I did that too, but you get what I mean. And that's about it for all the positive things, so let's dive into the 7 new episodes. Do y'all even know what you're doing with the episode counts anymore? Season 1 was 6, Season 2 was 7, and now we're getting 7 again? For the logic this show follows? Makes sense, I guess. Episode 1 is titled Fire Escape and centers around the kids trying to figure out a way for them to explore the fire realm without getting completely torched. Hey, remember in my trailer reaction when I said this? If this turns out to just be something that they make on the spot, I'm going to laugh my ass off. Well, I was kind of right, but hey, at least we get to actually see them constructing the suits of armor, so at least one thing these modern day kids construct makes sense within the confines of their realm of knowledge, right? Oh, that's not what happens in the slightest, thanks for asking. thing. I am not kidding you, this is the first shot of the show. Every time I hear that theme song, I feel like throwing up in my fucking mouth. What the fuck?! Who's ready for the first deconstruction of this video? You know you've been waiting for this. It could be argued that the kids in the Nine Realms developing these suits off-screen is no different from the characters in the third movie doing the same thing. After all, the hidden world starts out with Hiccup and Toothless literally walking through fire, and the audience is expected to take it at face value. But because the movies actually know how to communicate things effectively, they threw in a line explaining it.
We can walk through fire! Dragon scales! Dragons shed a lot.
Besides, the writers and Burkians crafting a variety of materials that made their lives with the dragons easier and more badass was such a consistent feature throughout all the movies and original shows that it wasn't something that really even needed to be explained. But in identical vein to the dragons magically acquiring saddles in season 2, the process of them attaining these suits of armor is entirely glossed over. It's made apparent that Alex is the one who constructed them, and they've gone through several models, but the fact that they use dragon scales as a heat-resistant material isn't even mentioned.
The scales block the flames, but...
I get it. If they had spent the entire runtime hammering information you already knew from previous dragon material into your head, it would get boring. But isn't the characters finding out they can use dragon scales as heat protection an interesting plot that could theoretically take up at least some of an episode? And let me make myself clear, I know I said this in my season 2 review. What if that led to other potentially cool plot points where Alex eventually makes a suit of armor derivative of movie 3's characters, and it allows her to turn invisible along with feathers? But number one, Alex's suit later on does not give her the capability to turn invisible, at least not from what we've seen, which makes no sense because the fucking saddle turns invisible. But I also said derivative of movie 3's characters, meaning based on, not an identical fucking copy of every single thing that made the character's armor unique. Aside from that, it's very unclear how much time has passed since the end of season 2, but why would we waste time explaining things when we have a useless narrative to serve?
I should bring the spearhead with me just in case I run into the person who dropped it.
Tom immediately says, oh, we might run into someone who dropped the spearhead. You think you're gonna run into a person in the middle of a lava-filled field?
That's what I thought too. I'm like, Tom, who do you think you're gonna fucking find? You gonna find Christopher Columbus down there somewhere?
It's also extremely apparent that there was either a major budget cut for the point in production where this season was produced, or they literally just ran out of time and physically could not animate half the shit going on. When Tom rode Thunder into the Fire Realm and this happened...
He might make it!
Didn't make it.
Ooh, the suit is starting to sizzle.
Oh, so is Tom.
I figured he was just nearly getting himself killed because the heat was too treacherous, kind of like the defenders of the wing volcano in Race to the Edge. But no, turns out he's being attacked by Fire Realm dragons, even though that's not communicated whatsoever.
Okay, let's give this safe thing some thought and get right back at it tomorrow.
But also, let's give some thought to the fact that just hanging out and relaxing in the lair with the dragons is pretty cool.
Nah.
Trust me, Alex, I know firsthand. No one listens to the girl in glasses.
Think fast! Boom! Direct hit!
Really?
Oh, come on!
I know that's not what I think it is.
Oh yeah, I get to deal with these fucks for another 7 episodes. Can't wait for this rendition of Tweedledee and Tweedledum fucking character designers who make the people in the show look like anime villains. Shout out to Tariel of Mirkwood on Twitter for bringing my attention to even more amazing concept art that was originally crafted for these characters, which still looks so much better than the finished product. I cannot wrap my fucking head around it. How do you go from this to this? Also, stop fucking defending the fact that they have purple eyes in the comments. Neon purple eyes do not exist in reality. Even if there is some insane mutation in the world that could cause it in a single person, there is no way in hell 2 siblings of different ages could both have them. So because the kids have yet to develop fireproof suits of armor that are actually functionable, Tom has this brilliant idea.
We use a fire breather from the Fire Realm to test the new fire suits. Shut your stupid...
Meanwhile, James Charles gets lost in the forest, probably trying to track down all the campers that escaped.
Hi sisters, it's James and welcome to Camp Charles.
But no time for that, we have useless reincorporation to get to.
Don't hurt me, please. Especially not my face.
I really hope he just died. Yeah, Not Dagger's back. More on that later. Hey look, Tom's about to die for the 1000th time this show. Also, no, this dragon is not Fang Hook. I know they're the same model, but this show is clearly not above reusing those from the previous dragon shows. Although, even if it was, I'm pretty sure with how much danger Gustav constantly put him in, his life expectancy probably couldn't have been more than a few minutes after the dragons were sent to the hidden world.
Gustav. Gustav?
Gustav.
Gustav.
No, it's Gustav!
Alright, who's this guy?
What are you?
People call me
Giorgio.
Yeah, so in case you haven't noticed, Buzzsaw's back and he's an official villain now, I guess. I don't fucking know. He still is one-dimensional as he was in season 2, and even though he's a recurring character this time around, he still accomplishes absolutely nothing for the plot. So Tom decides to lead the Monster's Nightmare out into their own cave to test the fire suit for some reason. Keep in mind this gives this untrained dragon ample opportunity to just fly upwards and escape into the world, and thus defeats the entire purpose of their plan to keep dragons a secret.
It's okay.
He's gonna miss that arm.
See guys? Reincorporation. Look how smart we are. I'll get more into the nonsense they do with this monstrous nightmare gel later and how it defies not only the laws of physics and reality, but the rules literally set up by the other shows. But this next scene is easily the biggest problem I have with this first episode, because Tom's idea to feed the monstrous nightmare while getting it to breathe fire on his armor to test its durability is somehow seen as immoral and inhumane by the other kids.
We need him to keep testing our fire suits. We have to get it right so
He's not a machine, Tom.
And just why exactly? Why is this the big moral dilemma of the episode?
He's not a tool you can feed fish to and then use. He's an emotional being who's just trying to survive and live his life.
This pitiful excuse for an arc makes no sense in the context of this show. Tom is feeding the dragon fish in exchange for it performing an action for him, a give and take type of thing. How the fuck is this any different from the writers in the original shows? Isn't that literally what training dragons entails? You realize you're part of a franchise by the name of How to Train Your Dragon, right? Why are kids training dragons depicted as something inhumane all of the sudden? This makes no fucking sense! So yeah, Tom has a come to Jesus moment after all the kids shame him for training a fucking dragon, and now he realizes his wrongdoings.
I forgot the real first rule of Dragon Club. Dragons are our friends.
How touching. Do you know what? I'd be far more likely to be moved by this moment if the dragon was actually fully modeled.
Did you notice the part where the monstrous nightmare was missing its horns?
No?
No.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
It's yours.
Yeah. What the hell? How the hell do you do that?
It's just gone! It looks so
Audrey's crashing and burning now.
Guys, these are the same people who turned a black guy white for an entire scene. You really think that this is beneath them?
I had to fucking...
It's a fair point.
Not something I'm gonna hold against the show because the other shows were guilty of it as well. But really, it's such a long take.
No strings attached.
The strangest thing about this episode is that it doesn't even follow the 3-act structure. Like, at all. For those who don't know, the universal plot structure is divided into 3 acts. The first is designated for introducing the conflict. The second is where your characters experience heightened tension due to the consequences of whatever conflict that is. And the third focuses on the resolution. It doesn't matter if you're looking at a 3-hour film or a 20-minute episode. The general narrative is broken into the 3-act structure. But Fire Escape has like 4 acts. The conflict is resolved 15 minutes into the episode. Tom's pseudo-arc is completed shortly after the midway point, when he realizes that training a dragon is immoral or whatever. Therefore, he undergoes change. It makes absolutely no sense and completely throws off the pacing of the episode. So now we aren't just making logical errors or ignoring realistic character development in the show, we're now throwing out the natural progression of the narrative structure. Fucking fantastic. You could argue that the real conflict is figuring out a way for their suits to hold together through the intense heat, but how was that held as the more fulfilling plotline than actual character development? Then we're back to James Charles and Not Dagger having an entirely no-homo conversation in the woods, and I swear to God, you guys, this is in the actual streamed episode. For the entire first half of this scene, the audio is out of sync with the characters' lips. By like, an entire second.
But like, what else did you see? Was there any lava spewing things? Or anything that looked like a unicorn?
A unicorn? Don't be crazy.
Fox,
I thought that was
Chrome,
just a Wi-Fi issue.
No!
Damn.
It is like that all- I checked Firefox, I checked Chrome, I checked my other device, it is like that.
Wow, I didn't notice that at first.
Like the previous videos, I went to my animation expert friend Alyssa, shameless plug, and asked her how this could happen, and she essentially said that it came down to an issue with frame rate. But even if that's true, was it really so hard to just adjust the audio track by 1 second before it was completed? Maybe I'm oversimplifying things, but this is literally an issue I could fix myself in Adobe Premiere.
All I saw was something big, flying. What flies except a bird? All I saw was something big, flying. What flies except a bird?
Besides, how are we supposed to enjoy the Eugene buzzsaw romantic tension when the audio is fucked up?
Oh, they're about to kiss?
Honestly, yeah. I just know there's gonna be people who make Rule 34 art of these two. And just as a quick side note, why is all the good How to Train Your Dragon smut on Rule 34? It's such a sketchy website. I cannot navigate the site whatsoever without my PC almost getting infected by God knows what kind of virus. This video is sponsored by Aura. Did you know that every 14 seconds, someone in America becomes the victim of identity fraud? Yeah, those statistics, because you don't care. Here's what Aura can offer you. How about a full-on combination of identity protection, insurance, credit and social security monitoring, a VPN, password protection, and antivirus software, all from a single app? Look, we've all been there. 1 minute you're browsing a sketchy fandom smut site, the next you're on the phone with John White and Jim Black from Windows. With Aura, not only will your devices be protected from harmful malware, but the password monitoring scans for your leaked information even on the dark web.
Dude, this is dark web.
And if you use my link aura.com/Audrey, you'll receive a 2-week trial of Aura services at absolutely no cost. That's aura.com/Audrey with an IE. Yes, my life is annoying. And if you sign up for the free trial, at me on Twitter with proof of your sign up and I'll send you a picture of my dogs. They're very cute. And thank you to Aura for sponsoring this video. So then we're back to Tom and the kids, and hey, what do you know, the monstrous nightmare escapes. Gee, if only that dragon wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the fire realm being opened by some stupid kids and therefore giving it easy access to escape from the hidden world, which puts it in fatal danger. So some stuff happens, James Charles sees the dragon, and Tom decides to get control of it by pulling a Jake Sully. Yeah, of course we can't have our main character get barbecued despite literally catching on fire. I get it, Snotlout theoretically had the same issue in the original series, but at the very least he had a saddle, or Hookfang purposefully snuffing flames from the back of his neck so Snotlout could sit there. And even if you don't buy that, his ass catching flames was a running gag in the OG franchise.
That's really just a nitwit who forgot to fireproof his butt.
Damn, girl, you shit with that ass?
How did you not get burnt to a crisp?
I think it's this dragon gel. It's flammable when wet, but now that it's dry, it's fireproof.
I'm sorry. What the fuck? That is not how Monsters Nightmare Gel has ever functioned. It was a substance that the writers would store away for specialized attacks. Never once was it insinuated that dried Monsters Nightmare Gel ever became flame retardant. That's what the crushed up dragon scales were for. And all of this because they needed a way to bind the fucking suits together?
We might be able to use this as the glue for our fire suits.
Why can't you just stitch it? There's stitching right there. Why do you need flame-proof Gorilla Glue to hold it together? More importantly, why do you need to pull the dumbest science possible out of your ass to make that stupid plot happen in the first place? Even if you're willing to look past the fact that needing some type of adhesive to finish the fireproof suits is one of the dumbest conflicts for an episode imaginable, Monsters Nightmare Gel is composed of fucking kerosene. Well, actually, Audrey, if you take into account the anatomical structure of the specific molecules in the substance— Shut the fuck up with your ass backwards science! This is a thing that's actually possible? Then fuck it, let's see! Alright, so we're about to test this fucking logic. Hi, Dart. So here I have a shirt that I'm gonna be dousing in kerosene. Bilbo, that's a bad place to be. See, I got this awful looking cardigan on Amazon by accident because I had ordered a bomber jacket for my Top Gun video and instead they sent me this. And I got a refund from Amazon and was going to return it, but then I forgot and the 30 days was up. So I just have it now and I can't do anything with it, so I'm gonna burn it. Oh, I'm so nervous. I don't want my cats around. Okay, back up, sir. Okay, we got some kerosene, which is what Monstrous Nightmare Gel is composed of. Really? No, I don't want you guys around. You're gonna get hurt. I have to do this while they're away. Fuck. So we're gonna just, you know, what is that like? That's a good amount, right? Ooh, that smells. So now we're gonna take this and let it dry. And if the 9 realms is right, then it should be flame retardant when we come back. Beautiful. Watch, is this a bad idea? Oh, this is such a bad idea. Now just to make it more authentic, yeah. All right, moment of truth. Nope, still flammable. Episode 2 is titled Ride or Die, and it's essentially the episode that ruins all chances of Tom and Alex getting together. I know. Shipping is annoying, and I made it very clear in my previous video that I don't really care about it. But episodes like this is exactly what I was afraid of, where 2 of the most irritating characters explore a treacherous, lava-filled realm while Alex and D'Angelo stay behind and bond. I wrote the word bond in quotations in my script, by the way, because it would be less forced if they held you to the ground and curb stomped you into a cement sidewalk of bad shipping. Fan artists, we need you. Spam the 9 Realms hashtag with Tom and Alex fan art. Make your voice heard. I don't even like Tom that much. I just want Alex to contribute to Hiccup's gene pool someday. Because June is fucking annoying. If I could swap every frame of her with Alex in the entire show, I would. Give Alex all the screen time. Save this fucking show already. The episode starts off with June rambling about mythological shit and her overbearing, totally not racially stereotypical mother hating her for it.
I've signed you up for a junior CEO course. It's an online group that meets 3 times a week starting tonight.
I don't want to be you. That's not me.
How do you expect to survive out there in the real world if you refuse to actually live in it?
I'm proud to present the first fully functional Dragon Rider fire suit.
Did this scene annoy you at all? Because to me, this was June like just touching Tom all over. Like he was like half naked or something. He's like, oh wow, you've got such hard abs or whatever.
God, no.
Like,
okay.
I'm like, dude, can you not?
It was weird. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of weird.
Fire Realm, here we come!
Slow down, everyone. I've only built 2 suits so far.
And it's purple. I wonder who that belongs to. Also, did Alex paint the scales? I was kind of under the impression that they were just using molted scales from their dragons, which would mean it's the same color as their dragons, but I guess not. And also, if that were the case, why isn't Tom's suit black and white? You know, since black and white together is actually badass and not stupid looking within the context of the show in any way. I guess they didn't want their hero flying into battle looking like Doja Cat.
And I'm just like hitting the keys and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make a song about cows.
So Tom and June decide to go explore the Fire Realm, and we cut to Olivia standing in a forest talking to a rock. Yes, that's actually what happens.
What are you? And what secrets do you hold?
I thought I might find you out here. You always did prefer field work to the sterile environment of a laboratory.
Yeah, and we don't have the budget to model a laboratory for this scene to take place in. Duh.
The molecular structure is unlike anything we've ever seen. It's harder than a diamond.
That's impossible. Nothing in nature is harder than a diamond.
I didn't believe it myself, but it's been tested and confirmed.
How did you do all of that without Slud Bitch finding out? Oh yeah, I forgot, the ketamine problem. The adults at Icarus should really seek help for that. Cut to Tom and June in the Fire Realm, where the entire plot of the episode is about to unfold, and it centers on them almost dying on multiple occasions because we can't let anything bad happen to dragons! Although June didn't seem to give a fuck about these 2 slug dragons before chucking them into the endless lava pit. There's a scene where, like, those slug-looking things, they just yeet 2 snails off of the thing,
okay.
and they fall into
That's what I was gonna say before. That's what I was gonna say before when we were talking about the dragons not getting hurt. I had 3 separate individual notes where they hurt a dragon, and they just killed 2 of them here. It's ridiculous. They're dragons, come on.
They just died! You fucking assholes. They're like, what the fuck? You just killed our friends.
And the others look up.
What is that? Ah, it hurts my eyes to look at it.
I don't know. Well, let's find out.
Whoa, a shield?
Oh look, another MacGuffin leading to the ancient Viking civilizations that serves no purpose besides being a callback to the other shows. How did the shield get here? Who did it belong to, you ask? Psh, why do you need to know that when there's more important things happening? Like, D'Angelo gets shirtless in this episode? What the fuck?
Marco!
I know you're fucking lying. I know they did not animate this fucking kid shirtless. Oh my god, I feel like breaking my monitor. Oh, I see. We get to see this idiot shirtless, but we could never ever see Hiccup shirtless because that would be too inappropriate. Never mind the fact that Hiccup was a grown-ass adult and D'Angelo was like 14. Man, if there'd only been some form of How to Train Your Dragon medium, say a graphic novel, that was going to show Hiccup getting shirtless and also provide the fandom with unprecedented lore and Hickstrid moments to indulge in. What's that? Is Audrey bringing up the unreleased How to Train Your Dragon comic, The Fire Tides, again? Why is she doing that? It's not like it's actually going to get published after being in limbo for 4 years now, right? Well, maybe. But if you've seen my previous videos over the 9 Realms, you know that I've been pushing for the release of this scrapped graphic novel. And just for brief clarification, it was going to be the 3rd installment of comics that take place between movie 2 and 3, which were written by the director-writer of the films himself, Dean DeBlois, alongside longtime franchise associate Richard Hamilton. And since my previous videos, quite a few people have taken to advocating for its release, such as Ari on Twitter, who's been tweeting every day to bring attention to it. Make sure you give her a follow. But I felt that I needed to extend my reach a little bit. After all, I've gained quite the following of Dragons fans over the past few months. Surely I can do something more. Besides, Richard Hamilton stated on Dragon Academy Dropouts a few years ago that he wouldn't be opposed to sharing the story with the fandom if it never actually saw release. Who knows, maybe he could finally do that using my platform. And so I asked him.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, this is non-alcoholic, so you can still curse. I just want to be clear. Richard Hamilton's not out there advocating drinking and podcasting at the same time.
And just like that, he offered to come onto my channel and share the untold story of the Fire Tides for all the Dragons fandom to finally indulge in. Obviously, it's way too long to include in my review over the 9 Realms here, but lucky you, because it's being uploaded simultaneously to this video, which means when you're done here, you can head over and listen to basically the whole story, including me fangirling like a rabid animal.
We would also see that Hiccup has a tattoo on his chest, and it's the runes that spell Astrid. And
shut up! Shut your fucking mouth! Shut your fucking mouth! Are you kidding me?
I guess the interview's over. Oh, thanks guys, it was great.
Additionally, it was also Richard's idea to run a fan art contest among the fandom's most creative minds, the subject being shirtless Hiccup.
With your blessing, Audrey, I'd like to open it up as a bit of a contest to your viewers and all the Dragons fans out there. Let's do a shirtless Hiccup art contest.
The winner's piece will be deemed the official canon depiction of shirtless Hiccup, and they'll receive a prize. Yes, you heard that correctly. You could be the one who finally delivers the world a canon shirtless Hiccup. If you're artistically inclined, submit your piece on Twitter with the hashtag shirtless Hiccup, tagging Richard and I by November 17th, and the two of us will decide the winner together.
PG rated
Yes.
picture of
That's where we're drawing
Hiccup.
the line, guys. PG rated.
Yeah. It has to be, like, you have to think of it like it's like a frame that has been spliced out of one of the movies.
Only thing is, you now have to include scars in the Astrid tattoo. That is official. That has to be part of it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And the types of scar, the placement and all that, that's totally up to you guys. And if you want to add some other cool details, go for it, make it your own.
So be sure to check out the full interview for more details and all the tea over the insane unreleased story.
And we also see kind of an aged up version of Gustav. Gustav got hot. He's a stud now. He's got a cool short haircut.
And check out Richard's original graphic novels as well, such as Fear Book Club and the Scoop installments. Links to check out those will all be in the description below. And if you provide Richard with proof of your purchase through DMs on Twitter, he'll even send you one of these.
If you follow me on Twitter at RegardsRichard and you show me a proof of purchase, it could be your receipt, it could be a cool picture of you with the book in your home or anywhere, it could be out in the wild. If you do that, then I will send you a book plate. I will mail it to you at no cost, and I'll just show you an example that I've made for Audrey. and it's going to come with a little dragon sketch. There's a razor whip on there for you.
Oh my god, that's so sweet! Be sure to check out the full interview for more details, and a huge shout out to Richard Hamilton for hopping on board. He still believes there's hope for it to be officially published, so go over there to see how we can make that possible. That was such a nice break. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, shirtless doofus. So Alex and D'Angelo see that Slud Bitch and two miners are about to infiltrate the dragon's cave in the search of more of those crystals, so they decide to stop them. By killing them.
We need to create some real walls to slow these miners down.
This sounds like a job for Plowhorn.
Because I made a note here saying those two kids just fucking killed 3 people. Okay,
There's
1, 2 actually hits them. 3. Did you see how fast that came at her?
But of course they don't die, because of course they don't. Meanwhile, we cut to Tom and June in the Fire Realm.
I can't believe how light this shield is. What kind of metal is this? Strong too.
Alright, show, we get it. It's made of Gronkle iron. You're practically fist fucking this season with stupid Easter eggs that everyone knows are not going to be explained. Sit your ass down already.
What is it?
Looks like an injured dragon.
That little dragon looks like it's from the Crystal Realm, and it might have just stumbled in here, and if that's the case...
Then it's not the natural prey for those fire dragons.
Gee, if only that dragon wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the Fire Realm being opened by some stupid kids and therefore giving it easy access to be killed by dragons in this foreign realm, therefore putting it in fatal danger. So trying to save the terrible terrors, Tom and June are chased by flamethrower dragons.
Just remind me never to pick a fight with those guys again. You alright, pal? Go fuck yourself!
This whole thing is my fault.
Don't say that. It was both of our decisions to help the little dragon.
Yeah, because you're both stupid. I'm sorry, but there is no scenario where these two reckless idiots could ever wander into a magma-filled realm filled with deadly creatures and not die a horrible death. Kids show or not, you should be barbecued by now.
What's the last one you read?
The Greek myth about Medusa.
The creepy snake lady, right? Every day was a bad hair day?
I didn't think you could read.
I saw the movie.
It's official, everyone. Tom's a Percy Jackson stan. So anyways, Alex and D'Angelo scare off the miners and nothing happens. Just another plot device to make Slud Bitch look evil, because we needed more of those, right? Then back in the Fire Realm, June is missing.
June!
Did she die? I hope she fucking died. Just leave her! No one likes her! But it turns out she went to go retrieve the shield Tom dropped. On foot? Without telling him? Are you that unobservant and are you that suicidal? How the fuck did you get from here to here on foot? Wu and Wei clearly don't care about June's ass if she can make it that far without them noticing. I guess they ship Tom and Alex as much as I do. Good for you. So long story short, they win and go back to the cave.
So, next time your mom comes at you about reading your stories, just pretend like you have your shield with you and deflect her words.
Can we talk about how that, like, never got resolved, by the way? Like, June's mom signed her up for a CEO class or whatever, and June just never took it, and it's never brought up again.
That's what I'm saying. They don't resolve any of the conflicts in this show. In the last season, there was that whole thing with Alex having stage fright, and she's like, oh, I'm so afraid to perform this speech. And then they never show her actually doing it. The episode just ends.
Yeah, and there's never a moment where June tells her mom, like, fuck you, mom, I'm gonna be Medusa in the future, or some shit.
Do you get it yet? This object, it's important. The shield is an important object. Just thought I'd point that out. Episode 3 is titled Empty Fireworm Nest and focuses on Alex accidentally bringing a fireworm out of the hidden world only for her mothers to find it and bond with it.
At least she's out having fun.
I am not having fun!
I have to admit that the music at the start of this episode, while kind of another Avatar ripoff, was pretty cool. Although I'm having a hard time understanding how these people had the budget to hire a full-ass choir to do their soundtrack when they don't even have the budget to make their characters look like actual humans.
Yeah, he vapes here.
He goes to a cloud and then he...
Yeah.
Also, I was going to comment on how all of their suits of armor don't really make sense given their particular dragons, but KingLavaCactus did a much better job explaining that, so here's a clip of him saying it.
And why the color of their outfits don't match their own dragon's colors. Like, that was one of the cool things about them from the movies.
So anyways, they run into a flock of fireworms, but one manages to stow away in Alex's bag, unbeknownst to her, and oh look, not Dagger's back. For like 9 seconds.
And I'm gonna find out where.
I guess he finally found the base. What has he been doing out here? Fucking trees or something? Meanwhile, James Charles makes another appearance as well.
I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Saw what?
A dragon!
I'm sorry. Was he out in the woods that entire time? Even though episode 2 was June-centric, he wasn't included at all, and is only now confronting her about seeing the monstrous nightmare? Why are all the mothers of this project negligent? Keep track of your fucking children, you hoes! So yeah, nothing happens with that. Then we go back to Alex and the fireworm escapes into her house.
Here you go. What is that?
Okay, I know I'm not the first person to bring this up, but why can we see its tail through the metal faucet? What is with this show and randomly making things semi-transparent? It does it with the dragon's wings all the time, even if they aren't transparent in other scenes. I asked Alyssa about the fireworm thing, and she said that since the faucet is likely modeled as a hollow pipe, that the light from the dragon probably filtered through it, but she has no idea whether that's intentional or not. Realistically speaking, it shouldn't be, considering it's fucking metal, but what do I know? Aside from the basic laws of physics.
This could be a major breakthrough.
We should get him to the lab. That's it! Game over!
Reek Corp knows about the dragons.
No, they don't. Just my mom's for now.
Gee, if only that dragon wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the fire realm being opened by some stupid kids and therefore giving it easy access to escape in Alex's bag and into the hands of the scientists, therefore putting it in fatal danger. So the other fireworms start swarming in the cave looking for the missing one. Tom and D'Angelo stay behind to keep control of them while Alex and June try to get it back from her mothers.
Before we left, I corrupted Phil's security protocols. He's got this place set up for everything.
You're going to trigger a missile attack drill? Don't you think that's a little over the top?
No.
Come on.
Oh look, they did have a lab modeled for the show. Why the fuck was Olivia outside in the last episode?
You always did prefer field work to the sterile environment of a laboratory.
Is fieldwork code for ketamine? I'm lost. So Alex's mothers are, I guess, growing attached to the fireworm like it's their child. All of it stems from Alex being gone all the time with her new friends and they miss her. I guess the writers forgot that 2 seasons ago, Hazel and Carla were saying this.
I just wish she had one good friend.
I get it. Characters can change over the course of seasons. Conflict's got a conflict. But these two are acting like their child is dead, so they're attaching themselves to a fucking lizard they've had for 2 hours.
The missile drill thing again? Alex, no. No. It's the only way. Nope.
I put in my notes several times, let Alex fuck shit up, because she keeps wanting to detonate the missile. Let Alex fuck shit up!
Alex is so chaotic neutral, I love it.
So June convinces Alex's parents to leave and give them enough time to sneak the dragon out, but...
Eugene!
What do we have here?
And yeah, this whole scene is really pointless, but June just straight up admits that dragons are a thing to get Eugene to give it back.
You know, dragons are symbols of luck, right? Well, the one you're holding is a bad luck dragon.
Why is the Alex-centric episode mostly filler? You have one of the best characters in the franchise, and yes, I mean the entire franchise, to work with, and you waste your time on these fuckfaces? So yeah, they get the dragon back, and it turns out it's dying by being away from the rest of the swarm. When she steps off of the ATV, and her foot hits the ground, and it's like, wow!
Yeah, this.
So dramatic.
I've come to collect the Jews. That's a fuck joke.
Then Linda takes the dragon to bring back to Sled Bitch, and Alex's moms decide to help them get it back because they don't actually know it's a dragon. They just think it's some lizard that's dying because it's in captivity, so they feel bad. I don't fucking care.
What are you doing?
So long story short, they get the dragon back. Yeah, I guess all these people are blind as fuck. Nobody notices a floating sphere or feathers literally turning visible in front of them.
She's faster and more invisible than us. Feathers, good girl.
Ketamine is one hell of a drug.
What are you doing out here? Get to your safety station, Genie.
It's June and Alex and a dragon.
This is no time to play dragon show with June.
No, but Mom,
Your safety is all I care about.
You didn't seem to have a problem with him being missing for days, you bitch! So Alex and June escape on feathers, and this happens.
I don't think that was intentional. I think they actually thought that
And
the music too.
It's so stupid. And yeah, they get the dragon back to the swarm and everything's fine.
That's the closest we're gonna get to Alex and to Tom and Alex right there, pretty much.
I was like, damn, Alex, lean your head the other way. This episode was okay, I guess. Its Alex moments were the only thing that saved it, and it actually has a resolution rather than just dropping it because the writers don't know how plot works. But they still squandered endless opportunity to show off the best character of the show, and I don't know why I expected any more from them. Episode 4 is titled Dr. Catastrophe and focuses on D'Angelo lacking a single iota of common sense for 22 minutes.
We tried to chase it off, but it just went crazy. You again.
Can I get your multi-tool? Poor little sheep's hooves were overgrown. That explains the crankiness.
Dr. D'Angelo has a nice ring to it.
It is a good day to be a dragon rider.
Someone's a ray of sunshine today.
What's that like?
So the inciting incident of this episode revolves around a bunch of Gronkles from the Fire Realm escaping into the Crystal Realm, and they're all fucked up because eating crystals is bad for them. Gee, if only those dragons wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the Fire Realm being opened by some stupid kids and therefore giving them easy access to eat these toxic crystals and make them ill, which puts them in fatal danger.
We startle them, then drive them to the Fire Realm. Cowboy style.
I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
Yeah!
Cowboy sound!
And why would Thunder do that? Also, he just broke his back.
So because the kids can't find a way to lure the dragons back to the Fire Realm, D'Angelo gets the idea to go there and get lava rocks to get them back with food they actually eat, but surprise surprise, shit backfires when these turned out to be catastrophic Quaken eggs that D'Angelo takes and feeds to the Gronkles. And I'd like to point out that I actually like the potential this conflict has for the episode. It's one with multiple facets, which is very advanced for this show. D'Angelo taking these eggs not only imposes consequences on him in terms of morality and wrongdoing, but also the rest of the kids and their dragons, the Quaken due to losing her eggs, and the Gronkles that have to go back to the Fire Realm and face negative consequences from imposing on the Quaken's territory. It's a conflict that branches out to all areas and theoretically could make for a very compelling episode in figuring out how D'Angelo is going to right his wrongs. But take a wild guess as to whether or not they actually do anything with that conflict. I'll wait. Remember when I said this episode is just D'Angelo lacking basic common sense for 22 minutes?
They're going for it, see?
But now, how are we gonna lure them out of here?
Oh, right. You stupid.
So they get away from the feeding frenzy, and because Plowhorn is the only creature in this group with more than 2 brain cells, she leads them back to the Fire Realm where they discover that the rocks are actually eggs.
Why is that rock shaking?
That's not a rock.
And of course, the horribly rendered catastrophic Quaken makes its appearance, and its introduction is identical to the first time we see it in Race to the Edge.
Hey, fish legs? When was the last time you saw a boulder roll uphill? Never.
Yeah, me neither.
Guys? Since when do boulders turn around?
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Fucking apologizing to a dragon. I hope she eats your ass. Wait, that sounded bad. Wait, that sounded awful.
Hey look, more of D'Angelo lacking basic common sense.
I screwed this whole thing up. D'Angelo, a doctor is supposed to do no harm, and See? I even failed to return her egg.
Did they write this episode in 10 minutes? Is that why nothing the characters do makes sense? These are life's great questions, aren't they? So D'Angelo gets all pissy about the fact that his parents dropped him on his head too many times as an infant and storms off, but because they can't keep the Gronkles safe without D'Angelo's help, Alex goes to get him.
We need your help. She's attacking them! We can't stop her without you.
And so, D'Angelo feeds the dragons the crystals that made them regurgitate earlier, and they throw up the eggs, and yay, everything's fine now. Because why would we make a show where the characters actually face consequences for their actions? It's for kids! Things don't have to mean anything. Legacy? Psh! What's a legacy? We don't care what that word means. We're a kids show. We only care about entertaining 2-year-olds. Fucking dar. That's literally not what the original franchise was ever part of, and I'm so fucking pissed off because of freaking. Yeah, in my script for that part, I just put have a stroke. Hope it was convincing. Episode 5 is titled It Flies in the Family and focuses on James Charles finding a dragon of his own. Because despite him learning this in episode 1, which took place God knows how long before episode 5 in their timeline, we're only now addressing that.
I think something's in the lair.
Something or someone. Eugene?
Hi, sisters!
So Eugene demands that the kids help him train a dragon so he can be part of the club, or else he'll tell their secret to the adults. Even though he's kind of already done that.
We're all thinking it, so I'm just gonna say it. Our dragons could eat him.
I'm just gonna make this clear out of the gate. This episode is insufferable. Not only because virtually nothing happens during a majority of the runtime, but because most of it is just the two most obnoxious and unlikable characters in the entire show bitching at one another. If they were going for the whole sibling rivalry thing to make it relatable to the audience members who may also have siblings, it would probably be a good idea if at least one of them wasn't a whiny, irritating sack of shit excuse for a character. And hey, remember in the first episode when I said it seemed like there was either a major budget cut or they ran out of time and physically could not animate half the shit this season? Well, in case you didn't believe me, here's another example.
What about that one? Nah, too small. That one's too long. And that one's... ugh. What am I even looking at?
That's a crystal.
And because I know you're wondering, no, Eugene does not permanently ride Wei alongside June, which would finally put an end to the critique I made in my season 1 review where there's literally no situation where someone riding a two-headed dragon by themselves wouldn't look awkward. Even though it's still annoying to look at, I do understand why they did this. There are moments later in the season where June has to be with the other characters independent of Eugene, so it wouldn't work if he didn't have his own dragon. But then why make the main character's apparent partner and potential love interest the one to ride the two-headed dragon? In fact, why make June the love interest at all? Nobody likes her because you made her poorly written and annoying. The moral of the story is Alex is infinitely better and should be the only one who eventually contributes to Hiccup's gene pool because she's fantastic in every way and has mountains of chemistry with Tom, and she's the only one the audience can actually stand. Alex supremacy! Fan artist, help a girl out!
You just don't want me having a cooler dragon than you.
This should be good.
Also,
Yeah,
Razor Whip's
she's
tail can
pleased.
slice through anything. That he should be fucking dead.
I can't make an exception for this. He's dead.
Should be like that Final Destination moment. Another thing that pisses me off about this episode is that they just kind of use it as an excuse to have a montage of dragons you'll recognize from the original franchise, even if it's one that Eugene clearly has no chance of riding.
What are those things? Flamethrowers. What are they doing this far into the crystal realm?
Oh, that's not ominous at all.
The flamethrowers are circling those spires. They shouldn't even be here.
Gee, if only those dragons wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the Fire Realm being opened by some stupid kids and therefore giving them easy access to enter the Crystal Realm, which puts all other dragons in that territory in fatal danger. Yeah, so the rest of the episode is just desperate attempts at action scenes where they try to make Eugene and June semi-bond and work out their differences. I've been making a lot of jabs about these characters being extremely poorly written, but it's probably past time I really dive into why. Aside from June just being kind of an arrogant know-it-all from the very beginning of the series, there was loads of potential for the writers to really give her character an excuse to be so wrapped up in her mythology obsession. I kind of glossed over it in episode 2, but Ride or Die actually begins with her mentioning the fact that her father gave her the book of mythology she's so obsessed with.
It's a book of Greek myths. Dad gave it to me a long time ago.
It's heavily implied that her and Eugene's parents are divorced, and June holds, or at least used to hold, a strong connection with her father who bears a lot of the same interests as her, the one Eugene was apparently traveling with before he was dropped off with June and their mother. Are you guys starting to see what a missed opportunity that was to give June's character actual depth? What if this show actually spent that episode, and all the interactions with June and Eugene so far, exploring that conflict? In fact, why wasn't this something they started exploring 2 seasons ago? Maybe June's obsession with mythology and stories could stem from the fact that, due to the close relationship she used to have with her storytelling father, she chooses to invest herself in fantasy worlds to cope with the fact that he isn't around. Well, Audrey, isn't that what's implied? No! I've been saying for 3 videos now that 90% of this show is just filler, and that those scenes where things could be happening add up. This is the shit you could have been doing with the time you wasted. Not to mention, all of that buildup could have led to this particular episode where June and Eugene actually have a cathartic moment in relation to their broken family and they have a meaningful bonding experience. And keep in mind, they've been treating the conflict surrounding Tom's abandoning father the exact same way. These elements of the characters' pasts give them depth, DreamWorks. What the fuck are you doing? But hey, they attempt to put some meaning into this big moment for June and Eugene, don't they? Oh yeah, don't you see? At the beginning of the episode, June gets a spider on her and she's afraid of spiders, so now they're in a cave with lots of spider-type dragons, so she's afraid.
What's that thing?
It's a spider dragon! Where did it go? Where did it go? That's a spider in my book. Ugh! Ugh! I hate them!
And Eugene tries to protect her from the dragons that she's so afraid of for some reason. And that makes them bond! Yay! You get a gold star for supreme storytelling! I have never seen such a beautifully constructed plot in all my years of critique. The reincorporation was flawless. You show have finally achieved the level of authenticity the original Dragon story managed in less than 1/9 the amount of runtime you've had so far. And I can humbly do nothing but salute your greatness. Fuck this fucking show up its fucking spider dragon fucking asshole. So Eugene bonds with a ridiculous looking spider dragon thing. His dragon looks like Randall from Monsters Inc. And they get the fire dragons back to the fire realm, of course. Why do you fucking care anymore?
Fine. Provisional status.
Hear that, Webmaster? We're in!
Was I the only one who was really, like, annoyed or disappointed at the fact that he called his dragon Webmaster as like a ripoff of Shadowmaster?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
And they all live happily ever after. But wait, before the episode ends... Okay. Episode 6 is titled Magma Comes to the Surface and focuses on the kids trying to attend to the magma breather after it falls ill. And I have to say, this is my favorite episode of season 3, partially because it centers on the magma breather, which is the goodest and chonkiest of all mega chonkers, but also in similar vein to Downpour from season 2. It's so ridiculous, I can practically smell the drugs the writers were smoking in California when writing it from 4 states away. The episode starts out with the characters and their dragons shooting fire at the shield they found in episode 2 to test its durability, which, keep in mind, they're trying to insinuate that this shield is made of Gronkle iron, which is not only extremely lightweight, but also durable.
It's pretty, but too light. Would never hold up in battle.
Exactly what I thought, until I did this.
But the thing is, Gronkle iron, while very strong, is not dragon-proof. So this line,
so far, seems like this sucker will hold up to any dragon attack.
Like most things this season, makes absolutely no sense. If Gronkle iron was dragon-proof, then why in Race to the Edge did they go out of their way to make dragon-proof metal a thing? You know, this green stuff? The hunters had access to the Gronkle iron recipe before the writers did, so you can't make the argument that they didn't know about Gronkle iron and just use this stuff instead. Just add it to the list of shit the writers of the 9 Realms forgot was a thing, I guess.
Sweet moves, Colorson.
I'm unstoppable.
Did you see the look on his face? He was all...
to get off provisional rider status, but then you act this way.
Someone could have been hurt.
Wait a damn minute.
So the inciting incident begins when Tom decides they need more than a shield to protect themselves, and he wants to make a sword from that Harry Potter wand he got during the last season finale.
Well, we might not need a forge. All we need is heat. Lots of it. And I think I know someone that can help us out.
Yeah, so ignoring the fact that just needing lava to somehow turn this hunk of silver into a sword without any of the proper forging materials is ridiculous, the conflict begins when they realize that the Mega Chonker appears to be sick. So they decide to take the dragon's temperature. What's that? You didn't hear me correctly? Oh no, you did. These fucking Einsteins take the temperature of a magma-breathing dragon.
Whoa, he's hot.
The dragon's temperature is hot. Well, maybe that has something to do with it being a fucking fire-breathing reptile! And why is Alex, the only one of the group to be shown as having some form of common sense, the one to do this? Why you gotta do my girl like that? Writer of this episode.
Like Tom and June, I would buy that, but like Alex, come on.
Yeah, now we're just getting into that nonsensical shit I've come to love from this show. Kinda like last season when one of the major plot points in Downpour was Buzzsaw driving a van filled with tanks of gasoline into a forest fire, after of course passing by the magical mystical ethnicity changing logger and getting blown the fuck up. None of that makes sense, right? Well, Magma comes to the surface is very similar. D'Angelo determines that they need to use an ultrasound machine that Icarus apparently has on base to check the dragon's insides for complications, but they can't because
we'll just plug the machine into... Oh wait, the Dragon Realm doesn't have power outlets.
I guess this scientific research facility in the middle of nowhere was so busy stocking up on ultrasound machines and ketamine that they forgot to pack any functioning generators.
You don't have a generator?
I was about to say, you don't have a generator? It would be
Why
easier
would
to
there not
sneak a whole fucking gigantic monumental chonk dragon up into the infirmary? That's easier? Yeah, apparently it is, because that's exactly what they do.
How about you two fly up and scout the surface instead?
Actually, I just disabled the security systems, so Eugene doesn't need to... Oh, sorry. I'm so good at my job.
So after 5 fucking minutes of trying to get the dragon out of the fissure...
We got him!
A big kitty cat. He's too heavy.
He's too heavy, isn't he?
They leave their dragons with Eugene in the forest and head to the base, where all the adults have overdosed on ketamine, I guess, so nobody sees them. But the Magma Chonker can't fit through the doorway, so instead of just leaving it in the front where there's probably outlets on the walls here that they could have theoretically plugged the ultrasound machine into, they instead... Fuck, okay. They instead get sticks of butter and slather the magma breather with it and then push it through the fucking... They push it through the fucking doorway. Oh, I'm about to die.
Smooth like butter, like a criminal undercover.
Don't worry, it's unsalted.
Up top! Nice one, Colors.
And then this bit, I'm like, oh, that's cheap with Tom slipping over, but then I had to laugh when D'Angelo fucking fell.
Meanwhile, cut back to Eugene, who has yet another encounter with his boyfriend Buzzsaw, and for the rest of the time the other characters are away, Eugene spends the episode as his therapist.
Sounds like you need to talk to somebody, besides yourself.
I'd like that.
I'm sure they're fine. Maybe I should take a peek.
There's a crystal blocking his, magma maker? Yeah, makes sense. He doesn't belong in the crystal realm in the first place.
Gee, if only that dragon wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the fire realm being opened by some stupid kids and therefore giving it easy access to eat the wrong substance and make it deathly ill, which puts it in fatal danger. Also, this conflict makes no sense. Did the writers forget that they introduced this dragon already in the crystal realm before the fire realm was opened? You gonna explain that at some point? So they extract the crystal from the magma breather, but it turns out it's so fucked up it can't produce magma anymore, which is what keeps it warm enough to stay alive. I guess they forgot that earlier the dragon's temperature was hot. Alright, I'm starting to think the writers of this show are the real ketamine addicts. How do you not remember the shit that you wrote less than 10 pages ago?
I'm hearing that you're searching for your mother's approval. I have some experience in that.
Your mother dressed you head to toe in a cashmere jumper on the first day of school?
No. You're not searching for a lightning bird. You're searching for yourself.
To think I was about to waste my youth searching for some lightning bird that probably doesn't even exist.
Now you can build the greatest logging company of all time.
Lightning! Oh.
This never happened.
You know what? I'm actually gonna say it. Eugene is becoming one of my favorite characters. At least he had enough sense to hide the body. So they get the dragon back to the fissure, but obviously fuck up.
The fact that the dragon is head down, like just a dead weight, heading towards the bottom of the fissure there is just the greatest.
Looks like unnecessarily covering a 3-ton dragon in butter was a bad idea. Who'da thunk it? But Eugene steps in and saves it, which gets him lifted from provisional status, and Tom gets to working on a sword that we never get to see the finished product of. But we at least see it in the final episode, don't we? Of course not. Hey, speaking of finale, Episode 7 is titled The Sky Torture and is the 3rd season finale of the 9 Realms. And this episode starts out the exact same way the season 2 premiere started, with Tom pulling a Christian Grey.
50 Shades Darker. Ooh,
Yeah, Tom's feeling guilty about the Fault Ripper again, despite this not appearing once since the first episode of season 2. And hey look, Tom and his mother are actually interacting for the first time this season. Did you not have the budget to pay her voice actor or some shit? You know, I'd be far more likely to enjoy this scene if I weren't distracted by that fucking Nazi shield.
I got a comment on my season 2 videos saying that shield on the wall looks like a swastika. And like, I see it now.
Actually identical. That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like, yeah.
Yeah. It was in Race to the Edge as well. That, Race to the Edge took place a little before World War II happened. By like, you know, just a little bit.
I just feel really guilty about what happened. I have these horrible nightmares that I might have... I mean, we're here to help dragons, right?
Yeah, I'll spare you the Tom feeling guilty bullshit that takes up nearly the entire first half of this episode, but the moral is, like most things that happen this season, this conflict, come on, you know what I'm about to say, makes no sense. Tom feels guilty about potentially killing a dragon that, if they didn't stop, would have not only collapsed the base, killing dozens of people, including all of their families, but also would have undoubtedly made humans aware of the presence of dragons and subsequently turned their entire mission to keep dragons a secret completely fucked. What is this cherry-picked pacifism you're forcing your main character to take on? It's not like he feels this way about the Sky Torture later on in the episode. Oh yeah, speaking of...
Those things do its bidding. They're like minions.
Now it's all making sense. The flamethrowers we've seen here in the Crystal Realm, it's like they've been scouting the territory.
Gee! If only those dragons wouldn't have been subject to escaping by way of the Fire Realm being opened by some stupid fucking kids and therefore drawing them and the Sky Torture into the Crystal Realm, which puts all other dragons in that territory in fatal danger! How do you not seriously see that every single plot in every single episode this season has been the result of what Tom and the other kids did at the end of season 2? There is never a point where the characters acknowledge this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my breaking point. I have been saving this rant for 3 seasons and videos now, but I can't hold back any longer. The fact cannot be ignored any longer, and that is the very existence of the 9 realms defeats the entire purpose of the end of the original franchise. The reason Hiccup had Toothless lead the dragons to the hidden world at the end of movie 3 was so they wouldn't be put in danger of humankind any longer.
You'll be safe there. Safer than you could ever be with me.
And the 9 realms completely obliterates this point. Yes, if a bunch of modern day kids found the dragons, of course they would be excited and want to stick around. But the problem is, the 9 realms does not treat its characters like actual children. That completely in-your-face pacifism for dragons they've been fist-fucking us with for 3 seasons now, obviously it's the characters' intent to keep the dragons safe. How the fuck do they not realize that the very existence of humans in the hidden world defeats the purpose of that? Every instance of a dragon being in danger this season has been their fault by simply being there. Why do they refuse to at least acknowledge this? If they wanted to keep dragons safe, then they would fuck off and leave the dragons alone! Or at the very least confine themselves to their own cave, which they have not been doing at all. Why are you destroying everything the original franchise spent 3 movies, 8 seasons, 5 shorts, and 10 comics building to for over a decade? Are you that blatantly cash hungry, you greedy corporate shits? I fucking hate this show with every fiber in my scrawny, loud, sarcastic, 5'6" fucking being. So long story short, they need some way to get the Sky Torture back to the Fire Realm by way of a large tunnel. Therefore, only the Fault Ripper can help them with this, and Tom and June go to find it.
Who might you be?
I'm the guy whose land you're on.
I can't believe you agreed to let this oddball oversee our activities.
The last thing we need is some local rube reporting us for trespassing.
Are you guys not contracted by the government to be here? Do you seriously not have permission? Alright, I'm done asking questions and spending any more time with these dickheads. Nothing they do matters, and Olivia and Sled Bitch get the fuck out of Dodge while Buzzsaw falls down a hole. Meanwhile, Tom and June find the Fault Ripper, and the two obviously make amends, I guess. Then they all go back to the surface to take on the Sky Torture, and the fight is simply riveting.
Okay, guys, we got it right where we want it. It's working, Val!
Oh, so when you fight the Fault Ripper to keep yourself and your dragons alive, then that's bad. But when you do it to this dragon, it's fine? Like, is Tom gonna have PTSD nightmares about this dragon in the next season too?
No, of course he's not. This one was a bad dragon.
Oh.
Until, like, season 6, when they're gonna redo what actually happened,
Yeah,
even though
this
it's
was
blatantly
mean.
obvious.
This one was just mean. It was just taking the land from other dragons. This one was a dick.
So yeah, now everything's okay. But then...
Hold on. Guys, you are not gonna believe this.
You know what? I'm not even surprised anymore. Congratulations, 9 Realms. You've officially lowered my expectations so much that I don't even have anything to critique anymore. Was that your plan all along? Few things to point out. First off, remember that big plotline in season 2 where Thunder's trying to find the other inbred nightlights and it takes up like half the fucking season? Yeah, that's not mentioned at all in season 3. Can I just point out how the whole plot of the past 2 seasons has been Tom and Thunder bonding, and like the last season was Thunder trying to find his family. This season they're like, alright, get your tuxedo cat looking ass out of here, we don't give a fuck about you anymore.
Yeah, they never addressed finding his family, actually.
No, it's never brought up again.
Yeah, I guess they just forgot.
In fact, Tom and Thunder hardly have any moments this season, which was one of the biggest sins the show could have committed. In the original shows, the producers made it clear that the driving force behind everything was the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless. Without it, the story would have no foundation to build on.
We were saying, where's Toothless? Like, you know, in a script, if we're looking at a script or reading an outline, we'll just like Right, WT. Where's Toothless? You know, like they need to be in there. They need to. That drives the story.
But Thunder's story isn't explored at all through this installment. I guess we'll have to play Dragon's Legends of the Nine Realms to find out. A prequel game to this show that was just released at $50 US. Are you fucked? But all of that aside, that isn't even the worst part of this season finale. It's the fact that it ends exactly the same way the first 2 seasons ended. Season 1 ended with the kids defeating the Fault Ripper, Thunder ridiculously scorching the strike class symbol into the rock of their cave, and Tom realizing it's the same symbol that's on his heirloom Viking helmet. The end. Season 2 ended with the kids defeating the Skrill, which opened the Fire Realm. Then they found that spearhead with the strike class symbol on it. The end. Season 3 ended with them defeating the Sky Torture, then Tom finding this giant metal dildo with the strike class symbol on it. The end. Do I really need to explain why ending every single season the exact same way is a terrible decision? How can you expect the audience to look forward to future installments if you end every season finale the exact same way? There are literally no consequences for anything in this show. This was something the older shows, specifically Race to the Edge, mastered. The characters weren't invincible. Yes, you had the occasional fake out with Dagger and Vigo, but most of the time, a bad decision ended with the characters facing real consequences. That show wasn't afraid to leave you on a cliffhanger between seasons, and not some half-assed Easter egg, but one with real tension. I mean, I guess they kind of attempted it in season 3 here, because it cuts off with Buzzsaw falling into what I guess is going to be the Ice Realm, but why the fuck should we even care? It's not like any of the people he ever interacted with this season took him seriously. Is this really supposed to pass as tension? Oh, and by the way, no, the title is still not explained. Thanks, DreamWorks, you're really doing your job. And also, by the way, no, this is not a dragon eye.
I think it's a dragon's eye.
No, yes. It's not. No, it's not.
Audrey. There's a reason I sent you that message.
It's not. It's not a dragon eye. I refuse to believe it.
It's a dragon eye. It's a dragon eye.
I don't. Yeah. They destroyed both of the dragon eyes, though.
It's probably a new dragon eye.
But Audrey, you just don't want to believe it's a dragon. No, because fuck you, I have proof. Yet another shout out to Tariel for sending me these screen caps of a Playmobil set for Dragons the Nine Realms that include the mysterious dildo being opened to reveal pages from the Book of Dragons. Which is exactly what I predicted. I don't care. I'm thinking what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's like a some type of lock mechanism to where
you're in denial.
Shut up. I'm thinking it's like a lock mechanism where there's papers inside, like from the Book of Dragon or something. Cause look, that's not a dragon eye.
Or it'll just shine lights through the filter where they can put in new slots, because that's clearly something that can be taken out, out, and it'll display stuff on a wall.
Go suck a dick, suck a dick, suck a motherfucking dick, suck a dick, suck a huge or small dick.
Also, can we just talk for a minute about Playmobil casually rolling up and spoiling major beats in the Dragons franchise? They did the same thing with the Hidden World weeks before it was set to release in theaters with Hiccup and Astrid in their wedding clothes, while also spoiling the fact that Hickstrid had Zephyr and Nuffink a few days before the Australian premiere in January 2019. Christmas of 2018 to be exact. You never forget when your OTP canonically had children. Does nobody between companies really corroborate this shit? Isn't that a massive spoiler that will probably turn viewers away because it's one of the only potentially compelling cliffhangers you included in your awful excuse for a season finale? Although I guess they expect the 2-year-olds watching this to not give a shit. Which, fair enough, but still doesn't take away from the fact that I was fucking right!
Go suck a dick, suck a dick, suck a motherfucking.
But I guess we'll find out for sure in the next season. At least I'll have some time to breathe without having to look at these characters' stupid faces for the next— Oh, you've gotta be fucking— Phew. Every time I review another one of these seasons, I feel like I go to war. So how does season 3 compare to the previous 2? I've heard a lot of people who actually watch this show say that season 3 was a genuine improvement from the previous 2 seasons, and the series is on a much better route now. And while that may be somewhat true, and they're certainly entitled to their own opinions regarding the show's quality, I disagree. Not necessarily with the part about it being an improvement, because in several ways it is better. But just because the first 2 seasons were god-awful and they're just now trying to correct certain things, that doesn't mean the show is good now. If you had 2 dogs and both of them shit on your carpet,
except one had explosive diarrhea and the other just left a solid turd. One is messier and more disgusting than the other, sure, but either way, there's still shit on your carpet. Comparing this new season to the dumpster fire that was the first two doesn't make the 9 Realms a good show. And for those of you still warming up your typing fingers to point out that I've blatantly stated on many occasions that I want the show to get better from here on out, I'd like to bring your attention to this line from my season 2 video. But I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna take a miracle to save this show from the first 2 seasons. I meant what I said. Do you think I was just spouting nonsense in my first 2 videos when I beat into your heads why all these decisions that resulted in poor show quality were going to add up? No, it's bad enough that the show up until this point was awful, but that fuckery is going to now carry over into future seasons despite how hard they work to correct it. That's why effort matters straight out of the gate. That's why the first impression you give viewers matters so much. After all, in 10 years, how are people who come across this show supposed to enjoy the supposed greatness of the later seasons when they turn it off after the first episode because it's so shittily made? Out of all the decisions they've made, one thing stands out above all. They don't give a shit about character in this show. They barely care about the world building and other aspects as well, don't get me wrong. But it's obvious that the 9 Realms wasn't created because Tom Cullerson was a compelling character whose story they wanted to tell through the medium of the Dragons franchise. That just isn't the case. When I was having my discussion with Richard Hamilton, who had a major hand in the original franchise, we got to talking about how world building doesn't really mean much if you don't have a good, compelling character at the base of it all. Do you really think so many people were invested in the older material solely because of the dragon lore? No, we were and still are invested because of Hiccup, because of Astrid, because of Toothless, and all the other writers and characters. We care about them, their story. When you build a house on a hollow foundation, it's bound to come crashing down. And I admire people like John Tellegen who are no doubt working tirelessly to hold that house together as best as they can. But it won't change the fact that this show was made for disingenuous reasons. Nothing will. And that's why I do what I do here, to share the truth of that with audiences. That and to relentlessly joke about it, because seriously, how can you not with a show like this? And that concludes yet another season of Dragons: The 9 Realms. I have to say, even though the series is awful and in every sense of the phrase should not exist, I am admittedly very grateful for it, because I never would have reached this level of success without it. It's weird to think about, but it's true. I really hope you guys enjoyed this review. Sorry it came out later than expected. There was a lot happening over the past month, and I hope the wait was worth it. Just like the last 2 videos, I'll be rounding out this review by replying to some comments from my season 2 video. I literally said, "Ew, what the fuck is that?" out loud when that dragon unicorn thing showed up on my screen. I am by no means a super fan of How to Train Your Dragon, but I've always admired the creative and unique designs of the dragons in this franchise. How they managed to create something so ugly and out of place is beyond me. Yeah, I agree. Thank God the Brony Fleshlight did not make a reappearance this season. I think they made a solid decision there. The other shows had their occasional bad designs, but this one just absolutely takes the cake. I just want to say this now, I hate how the Miss Twister Dragon's torso is yellow. I mean, one of the heads is red, the other is blue. The natural progression of this is making the torso purple. It just infuriates me to no end. Yeah, I talked about this in my season 1 video, but the Miss Twister design is just so weird. Sure, they were inspired by Chinese depictions of dragons, but it almost seems like they put more emphasis on that than trying to make it look like it actually fits in the universe of the 9 Realms and How to Train Your Dragon in general, which it most certainly does not. I feel so bad for the creator. Dude 100% has knives pointed at him to make this. I hope he can get free at some point and actually makes things that he wants to make and actually get to decide what happens. That concept art is absolutely adorable. I feel awful for John too. I think it's admirable that they actually brought someone on board who's worked on the previous Dragon shows, but he can only do so much with the resources that they give him. I will continue to stand by the fact that I hope this show does get better in the future, but I am not optimistic at this point. This person is basically just commenting on the whole Viking heritage subplot in the last season and how, in their personal experience, nobody gives a fuck if you have a certain ancestral history. Still a conflict that meant absolutely nothing in season 2 and was not even referenced in season 3. And finally, this person is calling me brave for watching and reviewing the seasons like I do. I make sacrifices so y'all don't have to. It's why I'm here. But my audience's support is 100% worth it in the end, and I would not be where I am today without all of you. So that's gonna be all for this video. Another reminder to not harass anyone associated with the show. When you spam your Tom and Alex fan art, please be respectful and polite. And remember to participate in the #ShirtlessHiccup competition. Who knows, maybe your submission will be deemed canon. Huge shout out to RaisorBlade and KingLavaCactus for joining me in my discussion over Season 3. The full video for that is available on Patreon if you're interested, and both of them have videos over the 9 Realms as well. And don't forget to check out Richard Hamilton's other projects. Links to all of that will be in the description. And with all of that said, I will see you again in another long-winded rant when Season 4 drops. You know, assuming it isn't the death of me, which I'm not even doubting at this point.